There is a very specific, suffocating type of silence that fills a room when your entire reality shatters. It doesn't come with loud crashing noises or dramatic background music. It just comes with the soft, glowing light of your smartphone screen and a 45-second audio message that was never meant for your ears. My name is Chloe. I'm 28 years old, and up until the night of February 13th, I thought I was 24 hours away from the most romantic Valentine's Day of my life. I had been dating my boyfriend Jake for exactly 3 years. Jake was 30, charming, incredibly handsome, and had this effortless way of making me feel like I was the center of his universe. Or at least, he was a really, really good actor. I work as a senior marketing director, which means I make a very comfortable living, but it also means I am a chronic planner. Jake, on the other hand, was a freelance graphic designer who was always waiting for that one big client. Because of our income difference, I usually ended up paying for the majority of our lifestyle. I paid the rent for our upscale downtown apartment, I bought the groceries, I covered the dinners. I never complained because I loved him. I thought we were building a foundation for our future. For our 3-year anniversary, which perfectly aligned with Valentine's Day, I wanted to do something spectacular. I booked a $4,000 luxury glass roof cabin in Aspen, Colorado. It had a private hot tub, a fireplace, and a view of the snow-covered mountains that looked like a postcard. Because the trip was so expensive, Jake had promised, sworn up and down, that he would split the cost with me. He told me he had just landed a big commission and would transfer his half of the $2,000 by the end of the week. So I put the entire $4,000 charge on my personal credit card to secure the reservation. It was 9:30 p.m. on February 13th. Our flight to Aspen was scheduled for 7 a.m. the next morning. I was sitting on my bedroom floor, happily folding my expensive new ski clothes into my suitcase. Jake had left an hour earlier to grab some last-minute travel toiletries and pick up our favorite takeout for dinner. I was humming a song, feeling this warm, fuzzy excitement bubbling in my chest. Then, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was an iMessage from Jake. But it wasn't a text. It was a voice memo. I smiled, thinking he was sending me something sweet from the store, maybe asking what kind of dessert I wanted. I swiped the screen and pressed play, turning the volume up. But it wasn't a sweet message for me. He had accidentally hit my contact name instead of his best friend, Marcus. "Yo, Marcus!" Jake's voice echoed through the quiet bedroom, followed by the sound of a car door slamming. "Yeah, I'm heading back to the apartment now. Bro, I am so exhausted. I have to play the perfect boyfriend for the next 4 days, and I am already dreading it." My hand froze. The sweater I was holding slipped from my fingers. I know. Jake's voice continued, letting out a cruel, mocking laugh. "But look, she already paid for the $4,000 cabin in Aspen. She put it all on her card. I told her I'd pay her back, but obviously I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna drag it out, say the client delayed my payment, and let her eat the cost like she always does." I stopped breathing. The room started to spin, but I couldn't look away from the little audio wave moving across my screen. "Honestly, man, I am so done with her," Jake said, his voice dropping into a casual, bored tone that made my stomach violently turn. "She's so incredibly clingy, and the whole let's build a future talk is suffocating me. But I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna dump her before a free luxury ski vacation. I'll survive the weekend, drink the expensive champagne, let her buy me dinner, and then I'll end things the week we get back. Then I'm completely free for our boys' trip to Vegas next month. It's the perfect exit strategy." The voice memo ended with a soft click. The silence that followed was deafening. I sat there on the bedroom floor for 10 full minutes, staring blindly at the wall. My brain couldn't process the sheer, monstrous level of manipulation. The man I had loved for 3 years, the man I was packing a suitcase for, had just admitted to his best friend that I was nothing but a walking ATM. I was a free vacation, a temporary convenience before his boys' trip. If I was a different kind of woman, I might have burst into tears. I might have called my mom or waited for him to get home and screamed at him until my voice went hoarse. But as the initial shock faded, a slow, freezing wave of absolute clarity washed over me. I looked at my open suitcase. I looked at the 2 printed boarding passes sitting on the dresser. He wanted a perfect exit strategy. He thought I was just going to blindly pay for his luxury vacation and let him walk away with my money and my dignity. I stood up from the floor. I didn't cry. My hands weren't even shaking anymore. I picked up my phone, opened my airline app, and clicked on our reservations. It was 9:45 p.m. Valentine's Day was exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes away. And I was about to give Jake the most unforgettable gift of his entire life. I had exactly 25 minutes before Jake walked back through the front door with our favorite Thai takeout and a fake, loving smile. 25 minutes to dismantle 3 years of my life and completely rewrite his immediate future. My tears had instantly dried up, replaced by a hyper-focused, freezing adrenaline. I sat at my laptop and opened the airline's website. We were flying first class to Colorado, a major splurge I had paid for entirely on my Amex. I clicked on our joint reservation. My heart pounded in my ears as I hovered my mouse over his name. With one click, I canceled his ticket. Because I had purchased premium refundable fares, the $2,000 for his seat didn't vanish. It immediately bounced right back onto my credit card. He wasn't going to Aspen. He wasn't even getting past the TSA checkpoint. Next, I opened my phone and called the luxury cabin resort. A very polite concierge answered. I kept my voice perfectly steady, telling him that my boyfriend would no longer be joining me due to an unexpected emergency, but that I would still be arriving tomorrow. I then asked if it was too late to add my best friend, Sarah, to the reservation. The concierge happily updated the guest list. Jake's free 5-star luxury ski vacation was officially gone. But I wasn't finished. I wasn't going to let him sleep in my comfortable bed tonight, and I certainly wasn't going to wait around for him to give me a fake Valentine's Day card in the morning. I walked into our walk-in closet and grabbed 4 heavy-duty black industrial trash bags from the kitchen. I didn't fold his clothes. I didn't care if his expensive designer shirts, which I had bought for him, by the way, got wrinkled. I simply grabbed handfuls of his jeans, his jackets, and his shoes and shoved them mercilessly into the plastic bags. I swept his expensive cologne off the bathroom counter, tossed his toothbrush on top of his gym clothes, and tied the first bag shut with a vicious, satisfying knot. By the time I was done, I had reduced his entire existence in my apartment to 3 lumpy black garbage bags sitting ominously by the front door. I took his precious PlayStation 5, which he spent more time with than me, and carefully placed it in a cardboard box next to the bags. I wasn't going to break his things. I wasn't crazy. I just wanted him gone. Completely. Immediately gone. Finally, I took his apartment key off the spare hook in the kitchen. The lease was entirely in my name. I paid the security deposit. I paid the rent. He was legally nothing more than a long-term guest, and his checkout time was right now. It was 10:10 p.m. I heard the familiar beep of the electronic lock on our front door. "Babe, I'm back!" Jake's voice echoed from the hallway, cheerful and completely oblivious. The door swung open, and he stepped inside, holding a brown paper bag smelling of pad thai, a bouquet of overpriced red roses, and a bottle of wine. He kicked the door shut with his foot, looking down at his phone. The line at the store was insane. Everyone is panic buying chocolate for tomorrow. He stopped dead in his tracks. He looked at the 3 massive black trash bags blocking the entryway. He looked at his PS5 sitting in a cardboard box. Then, his eyes slowly traveled up to meet mine. I was standing in the center of the living room, my arms crossed over my chest, my face an absolute mask of stone. "Chloe?" he asked, his cheerful smile faltering. He lowered the takeout bag, his brow furrowing in genuine confusion. What is all this? Are we donating clothes before the trip or something?" He honestly had no idea. He was so confident in his manipulation, so secure in his little exit strategy, that his brain couldn't even process what was happening. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just picked up my phone from the kitchen island, cranked the volume to the absolute maximum, and pressed play. I have to play the perfect boyfriend for the next 4 days, and I am already dreading it. Jake's own voice blasted through the apartment, bouncing off the walls, loud and crystal clear. The bouquet of red roses literally slipped out of his hand and hit the hardwood floor with a soft thud. The color drained from Jake's face so fast I thought he was going to pass out. He looked like a man who had just stepped on a landmine and heard the click. "Chloe, wait," he stammered, dropping the takeout bag onto the counter. That wasn't what it sounded like. It was the most pathetic, predictable response in the history of liars. He was actually going to try and gaslight me, while his own voice was still echoing in the room. I let the audio play to the very end, forcing him to stand there in agonizing silence until his recorded voice casually mentioned dumping me after his free luxury ski vacation. "You sent it to me instead of Marcus," I said, my voice shockingly steady, devoid of any warmth or affection. A 45-second confession of exactly how you view me, my bank account, and our 3-year relationship. He tried to step forward, reaching out a hand, his face twisting into an expression of manufactured panic. "Baby, please, I was just talking big to the guys. You know how Marcus is. He's always making fun of me for being tied down. I just wanted to sound cool. I didn't mean any of it." "Stop!" I held up a hand. The absolute coldness in my eyes must have genuinely scared him, because he froze mid-step. "Don't insult my intelligence, Jake. Don't stand in my apartment that I pay for and try to convince me that the sky is green." "Chloe, please," he begged, his voice cracking. He was sweating now, realizing the absolute severity of the situation. "Let's just sit down and talk about this. We leave for Aspen in 9 hours. We can fix this on the trip. Let's just go. Calm down and talk." A small, humorless smile touched my lips. It wasn't a smile of joy. It was the smile of a predator who had just locked the cage. "Oh, I leave for Aspen in 9 hours, I corrected him, my voice smooth as glass. "You are not going anywhere." His eyes darted to his canceled, shredded boarding pass sitting in the trash can. "I canceled your first-class ticket 20 minutes ago," I stated cleanly. "Because I bought premium refundable fares, the $2,000 you promised to pay me back? It's already been fully refunded to my Amex. I also called the resort. You are no longer on the guest list. My best friend Sarah is taking your place in the private hot tub." Jake's mouth literally hung open. He looked from me to the 3 massive black garbage bags to the cardboard box holding his precious PS5. The reality of his completely ruined exit strategy was crashing down on him all at once. "You can't do this," he whispered, his charming facade completely dissolving into a pathetic, desperate whine. "It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. Where am I supposed to go?" "You can go to Marcus's couch," I replied, grabbing the heavy trash bag closest to me and shoving it hard into his chest. He stumbled backward into the hallway, catching it awkwardly. "Or you can go on your boys' trip to Vegas a month early. I honestly don't care, but your checkout time was 10 minutes ago." "Chloe, you're overreacting. You can't just kick me out in the middle of the night," he yelled, finally showing a flash of anger as his manipulation failed. "Jake," I cut him off, my voice dropping to a dangerous, lethal whisper. "Your name is not on the lease. You don't pay rent here. If you and your garbage bags are not out of this hallway in exactly 60 seconds, I am pressing the panic button on my security system and having the police remove you as a hostile trespasser." He looked at me, truly looking at me for the first time in 3 years. He searched my face for any sign of hesitation, any hint of the crying, desperate girl he thought he could control. But he found absolutely nothing. The ATM was permanently closed. Without another word, his shoulders slumped in defeat. He grabbed the other bags, tucked his PS5 under his arm, and backed out into the cold apartment hallway, looking ridiculous, holding a bouquet of red roses and a trash bag. I slammed the heavy oak door in his face. I threw the deadbolt. I slid the metal chain lock into place. Then, I picked up my phone. I went to his contact. I scrolled to the very bottom, and with one satisfying, definitive tap, I hit block caller. I opened Instagram, blocked him. Twitter, blocked. Facebook, blocked. It was 10:20 p.m. Happy Valentine's Day, Jake. At 7 a.m. on Valentine's Day, I wasn't crying into a pillow, and I wasn't mourning the loss of a 3-year relationship. I was sitting in seat 2A of a first-class cabin, 35,000 feet above the ground, clinking a crystal flute of complimentary champagne against my best friend's glass. Happy Valentine's Day to the strongest woman I know, Sarah beamed, taking a sip of her mimosa. She had packed a bag in record time when I called her at midnight, completely skipping the details until we were safely through airport security. When I finally played the audio clip for her in the departure lounge, her jaw had hit the floor. To dead weight, I toasted, taking a long, satisfying drink. The sunrise outside the oval airplane window was painting the clouds in brilliant shades of pink and gold. I had never felt so unbelievably light. When the flight attendant cleared our glasses and the seatbelt sign chimed off, I decided to purchase the in-flight Wi-Fi. I needed to check my work emails before we landed in Colorado. The second my phone connected to the network, it absolutely exploded. Because I had blocked Jake on every conceivable platform, the universe had been delightfully quiet for the last 9 hours. But Jake was a desperate man, and desperate men are incredibly predictable. A rapid-fire sequence of green text messages flooded my screen. They were from an unsaved number, but I recognized the area code. It was Marcus's phone. I didn't open the chat right away. I just watched the previews roll in on my lock screen, reading the real-time destruction of Jake's morning. 7:15 a.m. Chloe, it's Jake. Please unblock me. I'm at the American Airlines terminal and the kiosk is saying my reservation doesn't exist. I let out a sharp, genuine laugh. He actually went to the airport. Even after I told him I canceled his ticket, his ego was so astronomically massive that he honestly believed I was bluffing. He thought I would be sitting at the gate, crying, waiting for him to show up with his stupid red roses so we could make up before the flight. Another text popped up. 7:22 a.m. Chloe, stop playing games. The ticketing agent just told me my seat was refunded to your card last night. Do you know how humiliating this is? People are staring at me. Just buy me another ticket on the next flight and I'll meet you in Aspen. Listen to the absolute audacity of this man, I whispered, leaning over to show Sarah the screen. She read the message, her eyes widening in pure disbelief. He still wants you to buy him a ticket? She asked, almost choking on her orange juice. After he admitted he was using you for a free vacation? He thinks I'm going to cave, I said smoothly, watching the 3 little typing dots appear again. 7:30 a.m. Chloe, answer me. I don't have my car. I took an Uber here and I don't have enough money in my checking account to get back to Marcus's place. My credit card is maxed out. You can't just leave me stranded at the airport on Valentine's Day. The irony was thicker than the expensive cabin syrup they were serving with our first-class waffles. He had spent months secretly laughing at me, treating my bank account like his personal slush fund, and planning to dump me when it was convenient for him. Now, he was standing in the middle of a busy airport terminal with his luggage, completely broke, begging the clingy girlfriend he despised to bail him out. I didn't type a long, emotional paragraph explaining how much he hurt me. I didn't demand an apology because an apology from a narcissist is just another manipulation tactic. I simply tapped the camera icon, snapped a quick, high-definition selfie of Sarah and me raising our champagne glasses with the stunning first-class cabin in the background, and hit send. Under the photo, I typed exactly 3 words. Happy Valentine's Day. The message said, delivered. Then it said, read. I didn't wait to see his response. I tapped the top of the screen, scrolled down, and hit block caller. I tossed my phone onto the plush armrest, leaned back into my leather seat, and closed my eyes with a contented sigh. He was finally out of my life, completely out of my pockets, and stranded at Terminal 3. But my revenge was far from over, because while Jake was trying to figure out how to pay for a taxi, he still hadn't realized the biggest problem waiting for him back in the city. The lease wasn't the only thing he didn't own. When Sarah and I finally arrived at the glass roof cabin in Aspen, it was even more breathtaking than the pictures. The private hot tub was already steaming in the crisp mountain air, and a complimentary bottle of champagne was chilling on the kitchen island. It was absolute paradise. But before I put on my swimsuit, I had a few loose ends to tie up. I sat down on the plush leather sofa, opened my laptop, and connected to the high-speed Wi-Fi. Jake and I had been living together for over 2 years, which meant our lives were deeply intertwined. And by intertwined, I mean I paid for absolutely everything to make his life convenient. He had gotten so used to my financial safety net that he completely forgot who actually owned it. First on the chopping block, the credit card. About a year ago, I had added him as an authorized user on my Platinum Amex for groceries and household emergencies. I logged into my banking portal, clicked on his name, and hit Remove Authorized User. With one click, the shiny metal card in his wallet was instantly deactivated. I smiled, imagining him finally getting a taxi back from the airport to Marcus's apartment, confidently handing the driver that card and watching the machine decline it over and over again. But I was just getting started. Next was the phone plan. Because I had a great corporate discount through my marketing firm, I had added his iPhone to my unlimited family plan. I pulled up the carrier's website, authenticated my account, and selected his phone number. I didn't just suspend the line, I permanently deleted it. I watched the loading wheel spin for 3 seconds before a green checkmark appeared. Line successfully disconnected. Just like that, his phone transformed from a communication device into a useless brick of glass and metal. No cellular data, no texts, no calling Marcus for an Uber. He was completely cut off from the grid unless he found a free Wi-Fi hotspot. Then came the petty but incredibly satisfying lifestyle cuts. I logged into his elite $150 a month gym membership, the one he visited every single day to stay in shape for his design clients. The account was tied to my email and my debit card. Canceled, effective immediately. Netflix, password changed. Logged out of all devices. Hulu, password changed. Spotify Premium, downgraded his account to the free tier with ads. Within 15 minutes, I had systematically dismantled his entire modern existence. I took a deep breath, closed my laptop, and listened to the peaceful silence of the Colorado mountains. For the first time in 3 years, I wasn't supporting a grown man who secretly despised me. Every dollar I earned was finally mine again. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked, walking into the living room wearing a plush white robe, holding 2 fresh glasses of wine. "Never better," I smiled, taking the glass. I just performed a complete digital exorcism. We spent the rest of Valentine's Day exactly how I had planned, soaking in a 100-degree hot tub as the snow fell around us, eating expensive chocolate, and laughing until our ribs hurt. I didn't check my phone once. I didn't wonder where he was sleeping. I simply let him drown in the reality he had created for himself. But the true masterpiece of this revenge wasn't just leaving him broke and homeless. It was making sure he couldn't control the narrative. Because narcissists hate nothing more than the truth. By the second day of our luxury Aspen retreat, I was completely zen. I had successfully detached a 3-year parasitic relationship from my life in under 12 hours. And I was currently enjoying a ridiculously expensive deep tissue massage. But a narcissist's ego is a fragile, dangerous thing. When you take away their money and their comfort, their absolute first instinct is to control the narrative. If Jake couldn't have his free vacation, he was going to make sure everyone we knew thought I was a clinically insane, abusive girlfriend. Because I had blocked him everywhere and disconnected his cell service, he had to get creative. He had to use Marcus's phone and Marcus's Wi-Fi. I was sitting by the fireplace sipping hot cocoa when Sarah's phone suddenly started vibrating off the coffee table. It was our mutual friend group chat, a massive thread with about 15 people we had hung out with for the last 3 years. Sarah picked up her phone, her eyebrows shooting up to her hairline. She let out a sharp, incredulous laugh and handed the screen to me. "You have to see this," she said. "The audacity is actually inspiring." Jake had written a literal essay in the group chat. It was a masterclass in gaslighting and victim playing. "Hey guys," the message read. "I didn't want to bring drama into the group, but I'm in a really bad place. Chloe had some kind of psychotic break last night. We got into a tiny argument about finances, and she just snapped. She kicked me out of our apartment on Valentine's Eve, threw all my stuff in the trash, and literally stole the Aspen vacation we had been planning for months. She stranded me at the airport this morning and canceled my phone plan so I couldn't even call my family. I'm staying on Marcus's couch. Just wanted to warn everyone that she is not the sweet person she pretends to be." Instantly, the chat started lighting up with confused and concerned replies from our friends. "Wait, what? Chloe did that? Bro, I'm so sorry. Do you need anything? That's messed up. Why would she cancel your phone? They were buying it." Of course they were. Jake was charming, and his story painted him as the ultimate victim of a crazy, vindictive woman. He thought because I was thousands of miles away, enjoying the snow, I wouldn't defend myself. He thought he had won the PR war. He forgot one crucial detail. I am a marketing director. I handle PR crises for a living. And I always keep my receipts. I didn't ask Sarah to defend me. I didn't type out a furious, defensive paragraph explaining my side of the story. Arguing with a liar only validates their illusion. I simply opened my own phone, went to the group chat, and tapped the attachment icon. I selected the saved audio file, the exact 45-second voice memo he had accidentally sent me 2 nights ago. I uploaded it to the chat with a single, calm sentence. For anyone wondering why Jake's vacation and phone plan were canceled, please listen to his own explanation below. Happy Valentine's Day. I hit send. The little audio bubble popped up at the bottom of the screen. For 3 full minutes, the chat was absolutely dead silent. I could perfectly picture 15 different people sitting in their living rooms, holding their phones to their ears, listening to Jake's own voice cheerfully explain how he was using me as a walking ATM, calling me clingy, and bragging about his exit strategy. The explosion that followed was nuclear. Holy shit, Jake. Are you kidding me? You were going to use her for a $4,000 trip and then dump her? Dude, you are absolute trash for this. Marcus, did you know about this? Even the guys who had initially offered him sympathy immediately turned on him. The evidence was undeniable. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a she said, he said situation. It was his own voice, dripping with arrogant cruelty. A few seconds later, the chat app notified us. Jake has left the group. A minute after that, Marcus has left the group. They were completely exiled. Jake had tried to publicly execute my reputation, and instead, he had handed me the exact weapon I needed to destroy his entire social life in front of everyone he cared about. I locked my phone, tossed it onto the sofa, and looked at Sarah. Well, I smiled, I think it's time for the hot tub. It has been exactly 6 months since Sarah and I drank that complimentary champagne in the Aspen hot tub. The fallout from Valentine's Day was spectacular. Absolute poetry. Without my credit card, my apartment, and my unlimited data plan to cushion his life, Jake's entire world collapsed with the speed of a dying star. His freelance graphic design career was quickly exposed for what it really was. Unemployed laziness masked by my hard work. Marcus, who was incredibly embarrassed by the group chat incident and didn't want to be associated with the guy everyone was suddenly disgusted by, gave Jake exactly 2 weeks to get off his couch. With 0 savings, a suspended phone line, a deactivated credit card, and his reputation completely incinerated, Jake couldn't even find a roommate in the city. Nobody wanted to live with the guy whose own voice memo went viral in our social circle. The last update I heard through the grapevine was almost too sweet to be true. Jake had to pack his PlayStation 5 and his black trash bags into a rented U-Haul and move back into his childhood bedroom at his parents' house in a quiet suburb 3 states away. He is currently working a mid-shift retail job at a local electronics store, desperately trying to pay off the massive credit card debt he accumulated trying to survive without me. That boys' trip to Vegas he was bragging about, it never happened. Marcus went without him. As for me, the universe has a funny way of rewarding you when you finally take out the trash. In May, I was promoted to VP of Marketing at my firm. I took all the money I used to waste on Jake's expensive dinners, his premium gym memberships, and his lifestyle, and I bought myself a sleek brand new SUV. Sarah and I are already planning our next vacation. We're doing 2 weeks in Italy this fall, and yes, we are flying first class. People always say that revenge is a dish best served cold. They tell you to take the high road, to forgive and forget. But honestly, the best revenge isn't always about doing something terrible to someone else. Sometimes, the absolute best revenge is just taking your warmth away and letting them freeze in the reality they created for themselves. Jake spent months laughing behind my back, using my bank account and planning his perfect exit strategy. He thought I was blind. He thought he was the smartest guy in the room. He got his exit strategy. He got exactly what he asked for. He just didn't realize I was the one who was going to open the door, cancel his flight, and change the locks. Happy Valentine's Day.